Thank you, Murray. Coming up next on The Beat Goes On is our wine tasting brought to you by winesale.co.nz. Everything you wanted to know about wine and the purchase of. Just Google winesale.co.nz. And conducting the wine tasting, Tony Astle from Antoine's restaurant in Parnell. Tony Astle.
Jared, always good.
My gosh, is it good to see you. When I see you, Tony, I know that we've got three beautiful wines on the table.
You only like me because you're going to get a drink.
And I said, and I know you're on every month, Tony, but I think to myself, why isn't Tony on every week?
We should just have an off license, just parked up out here.
Tony, tell us, what are the three wonderful wines on the table?
Right, we're jumping around a little bit this time. So we're having a Sauvignon Blanc from Nelson, and then we're going up north, or right across up north to Hawke's Bay, and we're having a Gimlet Gravel Cabernet Merlot, and then we're going back to Marlborough, our favourite little place, and having a very, very good Pinot Noir.
Well, the very first one we're having, Tony, I'm looking at Brightwater. In fact, look, if you look at last year's 2011 Royal Easter Show Wine Awards, this vineyard, Brightwater, they won the champion wine of the show. I know it's not a Chardonnay, but I mean, that's the level that these guys are at.
And they got gold, they got pure silver, and then you've got Bob Campbell, Michael Cooper, and Wine State magazine all gave it 4 stars, but they did clean up. They cleaned up at the show.
They did,
and also, the winemaker was winemaker of the year, so it was actually a clean sweep for them, which must be very exciting for them.
So let's have a look at our notes. You've got some notes too, Tony, and I've got the same notes as you here. But looking at Brightwater, Gary and Valley Neal, they returned home from working overseas, and they were determined to make a name for New Zealand wine. Good on them. And they said, we are Nelson, and we're proud of it. Now, they're located on an ancient river terrace near the village of Brightwater. That's how they got the name, Brightwater. And it's all alluvial gravel. Production about 10,000 cases a year.
Well, sort of less than 10,000. Of course, what they're putting everything into is quality, not making bulk amounts, but quality and excellence, you know, and that's really where they're all at. And their vines are 18 years old, so you've got good established vines, and you will taste, I'm sure, because I have tried this wine.
And the winemaker, he's famous, isn't he?
Well, Tony Southgate, name like Tony has to be good, huh? But he was also named winemaker of the year. I mean, he's a fantastic guy and obviously passionate about his job. And I think Gary and Valley must be very happy to have him with them, because I mean the whole little team is there and they're all passionate about it. Isn't Valley a fantastic name?
Look, if we meet Valley one day, we'd like for her to tell us, how did you get the name Valley?
Well, I'd be interested, because it's the most unusual name that I've heard for a long, long time.
Wine number 1, Tony, Brightwater Sauvignon Blanc. Let's have a taste, shall we?
See, it's got that straw colour.
Beautiful. It does look nice, doesn't it?
And see, it's got a very nice straw colour, and this is also part of the older vines. It's all come through.
Let's have let's give it the bouquet test, Tony. The bouquet test. Oh, it's pretty good, isn't it?
You know when you mow a lawn, you know that summer grass smell. It's got that.
The old grassy feel.
But it's also got sort of citrusy passion fruit. Sort of.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
You know, it's a very complex, but it's all popping out of the glass.
Before we do this, Tony, we know that these people have champion wines of show, and we know that he's got the winemaker is the chief winemaker of the year. So just before we even taste it, we've got to acknowledge that. So we've got to be blown away.
You can see why he's winemaker of the year, huh?
That's beautiful.
You know me and Sauvignons. I've got a problem with them, but I'm getting better with it. But this here,
that is beautiful, Tony.
It's got a beautiful, lingering, passion fruity type. You know, it's sort of like fresh, but it does. You know, when I had to mow the lawns,
which is very rarely.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. There's people that do now, but
you're a chef, not a lawnmower.
Exactly. But it's got that sort of. You know, when you do mow that, you get that smell. It's a smell you always remember, and that actually reminds me of that.
Wonderful. Now, I can see your mind ticking over about what you'd serve with this.
You know, I'm thinking, I like to go away from things like asparagus, like everyone says asparagus and all that sort of stuff. You know, I'm over all that asparagus. I actually think I would put this with a ceviche, which is a raw dish, and with snapper and scallops. But what I would do, just to make the little difference of it, to actually marry in with this wine, is just put essence of passion fruit into the oil that I'm mixing the fish in with. I tell you, it would just be a marriage made in heaven.
Well, Tony, it's time to congratulate Tony, the winemaker. Tony Southgate, is it?
Yep, Tony Southgate.
And Gary and Valley, Neil.
And Valley, yeah.
They've done a wonderful job. And for anyone who has seen us tasting this wine and you would love to have a case or even a bottle, winesale.co.nz. So simple. We'll repeat it again. Thanks to winesale.co.nz. They're the wonderful people who have picked this wine out for us to have today. Thank you, Winesale.
Fantastic.
Tony, wine number 2.
Okay, wine number 2.
Ooh, looking forward to this.
This is great. We're
Yes.
now going Hawke's Bay. Hawke's
Yeah.
Bay has become an amazing place for growing wines. I just love the reds that come out of Hawke's Bay.
Why would you call your wine Squawking
You know,
Magpie?
you think of magpies, you think of losing your eyes, don't you? But of course, around that area, Hawke's Bay is
lots
a
of
magpie
magpies.
country, which
Yeah.
is quite
And the rugby
hilarious.
team, the Magpies.
Oh.
Now, the owner of Squawking Magpie is Gavin Yort, and Gavin is a real sporting mad person because not only does he support the Magpies, the rugby team, but he's a racing driver with in the mini car set. So he makes wine during the week and then goes off and does a lot of sport. That's Gavin Yort. But the question I do want to ask you, what is it about these gimlet gravels? Why does wine seem to thrive in the sparsest of soils? I mean, you think alluvial gravel.
Grapevines like to thrive, you know, they like to get their roots down, you know, get rooting, you know what I mean? And of course they need, and of course this is, the terroir is gravel. So of course it's fantastic, but Hawke's Bay is very famous. That's road is hugely famous. But what I'm excited about, finally, I've got something that's got a little bit of age on.
Yes.
You know, so you can now go out and buy a 2006, which this is, and it's a Cabernet, which is quite usually quite stalky, but it's actually blended with Merlot, which softens everything. And this, I know when you try this, you're going to be very excited about this because it's got the smoothness.
Well, Tony, let's try this wonderful Squawking Magpie wine. Thank you, Tony.
Just note the colour here. You just hold that up against something white, and the colour is
Gosh, it's
very,
rich, isn't
very
it?
beautiful.
Yes. What are you getting from the bouquet, Tony?
Well, you know, you've got the Cabernet is coming through, but as I said before, Cabernet can be quite stalky. The Merlot will soften that, but it's got a very elegant bouquet, I think.
Let's
So
try
shall
it,
we have a
Tony.
little try?
That is sensational.
Notice how smooth it is.
Oh,
And
that's...
you might actually notice, you know, just at the back of your teeth, you find a little bit of dryness coming in. Now that is the tannins, which means this wine is already 6 years old.
It's
The tannins are still there,
soft.
which will make the wine develop
Isn't
even
it
more. And
velvet?
it's only going to get better. But the clarity of this wine is what blows me away. Pinots are the darling at the moment, but this is just a true example of how New Zealand has gone from to way up here,
Okay.
I tell you.
What are you going to serve with this, Tony?
You know, I'm thinking reindeer. I'm thinking venison. Because venison is actually, especially now that, you know, if you can go out and shoot one and age it yourself, this will be magnificent. But because it's Savannah and it's farmed, it's a much milder meat. But this just will blend in with it beautifully. And the other way, if you want to go the opposite end, I would go with a hare. You know, we've just had Easter, so you know, you eat bunnies, don't you? So hare, which is a very dark meat, and if you prepare it and cook it well, this would go very, very well with it.
So what we have to do, Tony, is say, Gavin Yort, congratulations on a beautiful wine, 2006. Wonderful product from Squawking Magpie, and what a great name. And of course, thank you, winesale.co.nz. Winesale.co.nz. If you want any of these wines, go straight to your computer. It's easy to type, isn't it? Tony, you could type that, couldn't
Even
you?
I can do that. But you know, this is 2 out of 2 pretty good. I think they're doing very well here. I think they're getting to know our taste a little bit. This is
I
a bit
think
of a
they
worry,
are.
isn't it?
Now, Tony, it's wine number 3, and we don't often have a corporation
We don't have a corporation.
Owning a vineyard, normally we love to have the family groupings, but this time it's a corporation. It's the Todd Corporation.
Sir John Todd.
Yes, and they're a biggie.
They are big, and they're, I mean, 2-point-something billion, I think they're worth at the moment, so they might be able to make a bit of wine.
And you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to buy a very good vineyard, aren't they?
I would think so, and this one is huge. If you want to pronounce it, it's A-R-A, but it's R-A-H, Ara. So it's not you know, people say A-Ra, it's Ra. You know, and that's, which means pathway in Maori.
Mm. And it's also Latin, Tony, and it's Latin for altar.
I was lucky enough to be flown down at the conception of this winery, and they've got this beautiful building, and it's called the Dart. And when you actually see it, if you go on Google, you'll see it, or even better, go to the vineyard. You'll see exactly where it's coming from, and it's, I mean, totally state of the art. But the facilities are for staff and for all sorts of other things.
Now it's a single estate, they call it that. Now Tony, I want you to tell me, what does it mean by a single estate?
Well, you know, you can go and buy grapes from everywhere, but this is actually a single estate, so it's
all comes
they put all their grapes in one basket, so to speak. Jeff Clark is the winemaker here.
What do we know about Jeff Clark?
Jeff Clark's quite an amazing character because he was winemaker of the year in London in 1999, then winemaker of the year in Japan, of all places, in 2003, and he was also named as one of the top 6 winemakers in the world in 2006. So this guy's a bit up there, isn't he, really? Maybe he's getting a knighthood soon just to go with the family.
So Jeff Clark. Well, Tony, you've convinced me. I think it's time to pour. Tony, let's try the bouquet.
You may notice this is quite light.
So we've gone from...
You know, I like doing this test to see the colour. It's a beautiful, the clarity is amazing. Quite light, and Pinots can be in colour.
So we've gone from Cab Sauv to Pinot Noir.
Into a very, very good grape.
Oh, lovely, lovely bouquet, isn't it?
You know, I sort of smell fruit in here, but berry fruit. And you're sort of thinking raspberries, boysenberries, maybe a little bit of cherry. So you notice a huge difference from the last wine, totally different.
Both
this one here
has
very, very soft tannins in the background.
That is wonderful.
But see, Pinots they are the bit of a darling at the moment in New Zealand. Of course, I am a great fan of Burgundies from France.
Jeff Clark, congratulations, wonderful.
He's done a good job here. Now, food-wise, I'm sort of thinking lamb, but a bit of spice in your lamb, not just a plain old roast leg of lamb. I'm sort of thinking, you know, some good spices in it, but I'm thinking there like a rack of lamb with some good spices rubbed on the outside, or even a lamb shank or a tagine or something like that. But just to throw in a bit of a curveball here, I'm thinking pheasant. Now, I'm thinking pheasant, but like you're making a coq au vin, so it's simmered in the red wine, you know, just brown it, simmered it, and with mushrooms, because it's got that sort of nuances of mushroom in here, and I think that will just bring it all together, and, excuse me, heaven calls.
It's beautiful.
Have another taste. I can just see your eyes wanting to have another taste.
Now, Tony, if you would like this wine, they have an Auckland telephone number that you can ring, and it's 09 375 8560. I'll give the number again if you'd like a wine of this quality, 09 375 8560, and it's info at ara, or ara, no, sorry. Ara. It's info at ara.co.nz. Well, before we finish, let's congratulate once again Jeff Clark, well, and the Todd Corporation, and all the staff that work at ARA, because they have done a wonderful job. Well, let's drink to them, Tony. They've done a...
Let's do it.
Yes. Congratulations to all the wines, Tony. They've been beautiful. And, of course, we have a winner for last month's competition. And the winner, Tony, funny enough, it's another Tony, and his name is Tony Dickinson.
Well, that's
Tony
three
Dickinson.
Tonys on the show
Yes,
today.
exactly.
This is getting good, huh?
Too many Tonys.
Tony Dickinson.
It's the equivalent of winning the $26 million lotto, Tony.
Yeah, but the good thing, but he's just given his name. No photographs.
So, Tony, we're going to have another competition, of course. What was the name of the 3 wines on the program today? And, of course, also include winesale.co.nz. Ara,
So we have Ara Pinot Noir,
Squawking Magpie, and Brightwater. And you email to Jared@thebeatgoeson. And, Tony, what's the latest news from Antoine's? How's it going up there in that wonderful restaurant in Parnell?
You know what? I've been blown away a little bit this year.
Ooh.
Things have been on
Really?
the rise a little bit because, you know, the last couple of years the old recession sort of attacked us a little bit, but it seems to be a little bit of optimism out there, and we seem to be getting our share, which I'm very, very happy about.
I just can't wait for that 40th anniversary party, Tony.
It will be more than 3 bowls of wine, might say.
Tony Astle, see you
Always
in 1 month's time.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Tony.